Hello and welcome to Hawthorne's Homestead. My name is Elizabeth, and this month one of the things that I focused on was preparing my freezer with breakfasts to have on mornings when I'm in a rush, or if the night before I didn't have time, forgot, whatever, to make overnight oats and I just have nothing prepared and not enough time to make a whole good breakfast. I have something in the freezer that I made that I can put together real quick and it'll get me through the morning and be healthier than going out to eat. Also less expensive. So if that sounds interesting to you, come on into my kitchen. So here we are. It's actually my bedtime, but I have energy and I've decided that for my first recipe, what I want to do is freeze pancake batter so that in the mornings I can put the frozen, well, it'll be round, not cube, but put the frozen batter in the pan and let it melt and cook, and then have fresh pancakes. So the other thing that I've seen people do is actually make the pancakes and freeze them, so that you just thaw the pancake in the microwave. I might try that sometime as well, and so I can compare the two. But right now I'm just doing the batter, partially because, like I said, it is my bedtime. And also just, I don't know, that was just the idea that kind of resonated with me. For mornings when I need something, but I have a little bit more time that I can put into it. So I'm making these plain. And then if I have fruits or anything that I want to add to them, I can do that day of. First, we need to gather the dry ingredients into the bowl. Come here. I don't know what that was. Anyway, so we're starting with 1.5 cups of flour. Cup. And 1/2. Okay. And 3.5 teaspoons of baking powder. So 1, 2, 3, and 1/2. And of course I'm getting it all over me, which is why I have aprons. Do I wear them? I need to. But currently don't really do it very often, because that's one more thing to remember. Okay, now a teaspoon of salt. I often don't measure salt. Egg, milk, sugar. There we go. That's what I was missing. 1 tablespoon of sugar. And I will put the recipe down below and give credit to where I found it. I got it through Pinterest, but I will make sure there's a link or, something to be like, hey, this isn't mine. Okay, so where's my whisk? Shout out to my friend Taylor, who came over to my house one time and said, I need a whisk. And I said, well, you're out of luck. I have a fork. She bought me a whisk. So we are going to mix our dry ingredients together. And then we're going to make a well in the middle. What's the easiest way to do that? There we go. Make a well in the middle. And we're going to start adding our wet ingredients. which are 1 egg, I don't have sensory issues. You have sensory issues. Anyway, 1 egg, 1.5 cup of milk. I do not keep regular milk in the house. For those of you who do not know, I am lactose intolerant. So this is vanilla almond milk. 1. And a half. And finally, 3 tablespoons of melted butter. And then we whisk. So one of the things that I regularly forget about pancake batter, and I'm always so grateful when a recipe reminds me, like this one does, that you really don't want to over stir it. You really just want to incorporate everything, and the batter will still be a little lumpy. And that's what you want. Okay. So here's our batter. Still a little lumpy, but nicely incorporated. Okay. So I have these silicone muffin thing. Anyway, that was embarrassing. Where is my 1/4 cup? Anyhooser. Okay, so I'm just going to put 1/4 cup in each of the little wells, and that's just, the recipe doesn't indicate, I don't think, how much you're supposed to use for one pancake, but this is what my mom always used growing up, and mom is always right? Okay, so I'm just going to take, actually, do I want to use this, or do I want to use, let's use plastic. No, I changed my mind again. Plastic wrap only sticks to itself, so I'd have to like wrap it around crazy, and this. Okay, and then the other thing I'm going to do, excuse me, I'm getting all up in your space here. Okay, I'm going to put this on a pan so that it'll lay more flat in the freezer. As you can see, don't look at the mess, look at me. As you can see, we have already finished this recipe. Now I just need to put some things away. And not leave dishes in the sink until morning. Anyway, and then tomorrow I have a few other recipes that I'm planning on making so that I can be prepared for the week and the coming weeks, hopefully. Good morning. Yeah, I'm wearing the same thing I wore yesterday. Yes, I slept in it. It's the weekend, whatever. Anyway, so we have successfully frozen the pancake batter, and I'm just going to pop it out. easier. And plop it into a gallon freezer bag. We now have future pancakes. Hello and welcome to Knittermission, the intermission where I talk about knitting and fiber-related crafts. Today I would like to start by addressing the lack of sweater in the room. It is 90-something degrees outside and I was not putting on... Anyway, I was not putting on a sweater to show off. We have all fall and winter for that. So, holding off on that. But today, I wanted to do just kind of a normal knitting podcast kind of episode of starting by talking about my works in progress, finished objects, and acquisitions. So, I don't have a whole lot to share in finished objects right now. And that's because my attention, do not cross in front of my camera again. Aww, yes, I do love you. Why don't you jump up here? You don't want to? Well, how about you lay down? Lay down. I'll pet you when you lay down. All the way. Got to lay down. Lay down. There's a good boy. Come here. Don't know what that was all about. Like I said, I don't have a whole lot of finished objects to share. That's because a lot of the objects that I'm working on are larger, and because a lot of the objects that I have finished recently are for gift giving, and I don't want to put them on the channel and, you know, have the person I'm going to give it to be like, oh yeah, that's for me. So I'll start with basically the only finished object I'm going to be sharing. I need my hands. I like how he ignores me all day, but the minute I sit down to film, he's like, you're not paying attention to me. Go lay down, baby. Go lay down. Good boy. Good boy. I have finished a couple sets of fingerless mittens. Bring those in a little bit so you can see them. This one will be harder to see, obviously, because it's black. And these are for gift giving, but if the people that I'm giving them to stumble upon this video and see them, they're not going to immediately go, yeah, that's for me. It must be cursed to film today. We're gonna try again anyway. This little guy needs attention apparently, and my phone just decided to quit filming in the middle, so we're gonna try again, aren't we? Why don't you jump up here? Okay, go lay down. Good boy. Stay there. Okay, so transitioning from finished objects into, I still have a few more of these that I'm going to have to make. These are the fingerless mittens. So this is my next pair for that. Okay, and so that again is the transition into things I need to finish, things I'm working on. Something I'm working on that I'm pretty happy with is a pair of socks. These are super colorful. I got this yarn a long time ago and never knew what to make with it. It's just nothing seemed right. And so finally I was just like, you know what, I'm going to make a pair of socks. That's what we're going to do. And I'm glad I never tried to make anything else with them, because it wasn't until I started working with the yarns I realized that even though I got the yarn from the same bin, like I said, it was a long time ago. I was young. I wasn't paying enough attention, and they are completely different yarns, or at least completely different colors. The yarn feels the same, and had the same kind of label on it, so I think it's the same thing, just a different colorway. But that's a really fun project that I've been enjoying, just watching how it stripes up. And I have it in this cute little basket. So there's that one. And that's just a simple pair of socks that, you know, I just know how to make socks, so I'm just making socks. So there's no pattern for those. Something that you have seen before, but I have made some progress on, is a sweater that I never really knew how to pronounce. I don't even know if I have it written on here. But it's a pattern that I bought. It's like Fusely sweater, something like that. I will link it in the description box. It is my first top down in the round. My other top down projects have been either crochet or raglan, and the crochet was also a raglan. So this is where I'm at on this project. Getting into the thick of the color work, and I think I'm doing good with my floats. I don't think it's going to be puffy in areas or like pulling or anything. This is, however, going to be an extremely thick and warm sweater. My sister lives in Minnesota, and when she came to visit and saw this, she said, "You're gonna have to come visit me over the winter, because that's the only time you're ever gonna be able to wear it." She might be right. So that's the progress that I've made on that. What's next? Okay. I think I have a couple things in here, maybe. No, just the one. I recently got a new job, and I've decided that I want a crocheted blanket, just a small little blanket, to put over the back of my chair, and then of course to lay over my lap if I get cold, or wrap around my shoulders, whatever. So this is the progress that I have made so far. And for inspiration, I am loosely using the bonfire scarf pattern, which I will also link. And I don't remember who made it, sorry. So I'm using this color. This is just Loops and Threads acrylic from Michaels. There's a color number, but there's not a color name. Oh, Mushroom? Yeah, I think it's called Mushroom. I'm doing this in between all of the other colors. So we have this gold, which you've seen. You've also seen, we'll just hold this up like this so you can see it all together, because I'm obviously out of that. And then I will be going into green. This is a juggling act, and blue. You try to get all this back in here nicely. And I do have some other projects, just while I'm putting this in and I'm talking, some other projects that I'm not going to be showing that are more like hibernating than actually like works in progress, like these are. Throw that string away. I totally missed the trash can. I don't know if you saw that. Okay. The last one I'm going to show today is in this beautiful bag my mom made me. It is huge, and it has pockets all the way around, and it has pockets on the inside. very good project blanket. What am I saying? Very good project basket. And I am making, the pattern is called my first holiday sweater, or first holiday sweater, or something like that. Do I have that page that tells me what it's called and who made it? My first holiday sweater. I will also link down below who designed this. So I have the body finished. This is a bottom up. So we're at the point here, it goes this way, where I'm working on the sleeves separately, and then we'll attach them. And then once both sleeves are attached, it'll be about here-ish on the sweater, and then I'll do the rest of the way up where there is a snowflake. Not snowflake. Well, there's a pattern. I'll post a picture. I've also talked about this on the channel before. I don't know if I mentioned last time, or if I was still too early in the process. The yarn and needles that I had, I achieved the gauge for the pattern perfectly, and then it just keeps going. But then it was hurting my hands. The fabric was so dense, it was hurting my hands to knit it. And go lay down. Go lay down. Honey, I love you. It was hurting my hands to make, and the fabric was just so dense, like it almost stood up like cardboard if you just stood it up, and I was like, I will never wear this. So I was really grateful that around the time that I was discovering this, Taylor at Wool Needles Hands put out a video of, I'm just going to call it fancy math, partially because I don't remember the math, and partially because I don't want to be stealing any of her work. But she talked about when you have the yarn and the needles that you want, you take that gauge and then figure out what size to make the pattern in, instead of taking the gauge from the pattern and then making that pattern in your normal size. And that was extremely helpful at that moment. I hated, I was almost done with the body when I finally decided I couldn't make that anymore. And now I like it a lot better, but it too is very thick and very warm, and may also only come out if I go visit my sister over the winter. We shall see. So, what are you? Oh yeah, you go in there. Cool. So, the last thing I'm going to talk about is an acquisition. I only have the one. I went to yet another fiber festival, this time in Franklin, Indiana. And this is a hand-dyed maker from Indianapolis, and their company is Ash and Bumble. This is their organic merino DK called Wilted Flower. It is 100% non-superwash merino wool. But yeah, it's just really lovely. And I'm very happy to have it. I have no idea what I'm making out of it. I went to the festival with my mom and my aunt, and I showed my aunt that I had bought it because we had kind of separated to do some different things. And then when we came back together, I was like, look what I bought. And she said, oh, that's cool. What are you going to make? And I said, I don't know. I have no idea. I just had to have it. I almost bought, there was a handmade basket, a whole booth of them. And I am a basket girly. I love a good basket. And I looked at it and I swore the price said $25, and I was like, I cannot pass up a handmade basket for only $25. And so I was looking at them and I was trying to decide which one I wanted. And then I realized the price was $75. And I just couldn't. They were beautiful. They were amazing. I hope that seller sold tons of them because they were so worth that price. I just couldn't meet that. But you know, we had a great time. They also had a guest speaker this year. And I went to her talk. She had 2 talks. One on Friday that I did not go to, and then one on Saturday that was like needle felting, like art with needle felting. It was really interesting. And yeah, so that's really all I have today. So I'm going to go ahead and bind off. I hope you guys all have a really great month ahead, and I will see you probably back in my kitchen. Howdy, Editing Elizabeth here. I cannot find the first part of this recipe where I started cutting up the bell peppers and the herbs and everything that went into it. So I don't know what happened. I don't know if it got deleted or what. But I have basically, the only thing that you've missed is I'm making egg bites, and that I cut up bell peppers and put them in a skillet with some seasoning and some herbs and mostly salt and pepper, probably parsley and green onion based on what I have growing in my bedroom. And yeah. So sorry about that. But let's continue on like nothing happened. Okay, so I have cooked these peppers until they're nice and soft, along with the herbs and a little bit of spice. Okay. So there's all of our peppers. I'm stirring them around a little bit to kind of release some of the heat, because I hesitate to put my sour cream in immediately when they're as hot as they are. So we're going to smash them around to the sides, kind of open them up, try to get them to cool off. And then we're going to give them a minute. It also occurs to me that I don't want to put the eggs in there when they're that hot, because I don't want to scramble my eggs. I want to bake them. Okay, so these have cooled down significantly, and I have preheated my oven to 350. Okay. I'm debating if I'm just going to use, yeah, I think I am. I'm just going to use the rest of the sour cream that's in here. Okay. Okay. Now, I'm going to start adding in some eggs. I have no idea how many I'm using because I am just winging this recipe. But I bought plenty of eggs so that I could just start throwing them in. Did I get a shell in there? Crap. There we go. Yeah. I think that's good. I decided I'm going to add in a little more seasoning just because we added a lot of egg and a lot of sour cream. Long dear. I'm just going to use my soup ladle to pour into the cups. And as I'm sure you can imagine, it was a little bit messy. So we're just gonna clean the edges. Because if they burn in the slightest, my fire alarm will go off. And lately, my dog has literally shit himself because of the fire alarm going off. So, we're going to try not to do that to him. Or me. And now they're going to go into a 350-degree oven for however long until they cook. I'll check back in about 10 minutes. Welcome back to my kitchen. Despite the fact that we are in a heat wave, I am using my oven for this last meal, but I'm doubling up on the oven. I already have banana bread in there. And so now I'm going to make what I just call breakfast muffins. I'm going to use a can of cream corn, sweet corn, 2 boxes of Jiffy corn muffin mix. You can use any cornmeal. It doesn't have to be that. I'm just using that because it's easier for me because I don't buy cornmeal for other things right now. I'm putting in a little bit of Greek yogurt. Normally I use sour cream. I do have sour cream. The problem is my stomach and milk don't get along very well. So I wanted to try, I have more luck with Greek yogurts than I do with things like sour cream. I can have it in small amounts, but I really want to try this just because it might be a little bit easier on my stomach. A couple of eggs and some cheese. I also have breakfast sausage already cooked up. So basically I'm just going to mix this all together and put it in muffin tins, put it in the oven for about 20-25 minutes, and then let them cool completely, and then put them in the freezer. So here we go. Okay, that is ready. be helpful. Be very helpful. I am going to drain the sweet corn because we don't need all the juices. I just turned the oven on and it's already hotter than hell in this kitchen. Well, if you ever need a recipe for fake vomit, but once it cooks up, it's a nice muffin and tastes fantastic. So, I forbear. While I'm already sweating in the kitchen, I'm going to do another one of my tricks. I got a bunch of onions for $1 at my local Kroger because they were marked down and they need to be preserved in some way before they get gross. So I'm going to cut up, I'm going to cut each onion in half and then dice the half and put each half in a bag. And then I have a double layer of freezer bags because onions have an extremely strong smell. Last time, or the first time I did this, I just had them in these bags and then put them in one of these. And the next day my kitchen smelled, I mean, you'd think it would smell good because it's onion, but no, it's awful. So, double bagged, triple bagged technically. So I already have half one from dinner. And like I said, I'm just going to chop these up put them in the bags, and then for a while, anytime I need diced onion for a recipe, it's already done for me. And I just do a rough dice. I'm not feeding any picky eaters that don't like chunks of onion. It's just me, and I'm totally okay with that. But if you were doing something like this, you could dice it as fine as you and your family would enjoy it. Actually, let me get some air out of there. As of course, with freezing anything, you want as little air as possible. And normally I've started saving the skins and things for broth, but these have definitely seen better days, and the idea just makes me a little uncomfortable. I'm sure I could clean them and they'd be fine, but I'm just paranoid enough, don't do that, that I would prefer to go ahead and throw these out this time. All right, here we are. Not bad for an evening's work. I have 2 loaves of bread. The banana bread, one of them I've already broken into, and I must say it was, and is, I guess, delicious. And then I have 12 of the muffins that I just need to let finish cooling, and then I will put them in the freezer. Thank you so much for joining me this month. Please consider liking and subscribing. It really helps out my channel. And I will see you next month, I hope, in my next video. Take care, friends.